August 1944. Nazi Germany is collapsing on all fronts. The Allies have broken out of Normandy and are racing across France. Soviet armies are crushing Germany from the east. The Third Reich is dying. But Adolf Hitler, increasingly detached from reality, obsesses over one name, George S. Patton. In his underground bunker in East Prussia, Hitler pores over intelligence reports about Allied commanders. He dismisses most of them as cautious bureaucrats. Montgomery is too slow, no imagination. Eisenhower is a politician, not a soldier. Bradley is competent but uninspired. But Patton? Patton enrages Hitler like no other Allied commander. Hitler's intelligence chief, Wilhelm Canaris, later testified that Hitler would fly into screaming rages when Patton's Third Army achieved another breakthrough. That American cowboy, Hitler would shout, he fights like a German. Aggressive, fast, ruthless. It was meant as an insult but came out as grudging respect. By August 1944, as Patton's Third Army tears through France liberating cities faster than German armies conquered them in 1940, Hitler makes a decision. A personal decision. I want Patton dead, he tells his staff. Not captured. Dead. Specifically him. Make it happen. This is the story of what happened when American intelligence discovered Hitler's personal vendetta against Patton. And what Patton said when they told him the Führer of Nazi Germany wanted him killed. Spoiler, he loved it. September 1944. British intelligence at Bletchley Park intercepts and decodes a series of German communications that shock analysts. The messages, sent from Hitler's headquarters to SS and Wehrmacht units in France, contain specific orders: priority target, General George S. Patton. Capture or elimination authorized. Führer's personal directive. More intercepts follow over the next week. SS intelligence units are ordered to identify Patton's location at all times. Luftwaffe bomber units receive orders to strike Third Army headquarters if Patton's presence is confirmed. German commando units are briefed on assassination missions specifically targeting Patton. This isn't routine military targeting of enemy commanders. This is personal. The language in the intercepts makes it clear, Hitler himself is ordering these operations. British intelligence forwards the intercepts to American headquarters with a red flag: credible assassination threat against General Patton. Recommend immediate security enhancement and possible relocation. The report lands on Eisenhower's desk on September 15, 1944. Eisenhower reads it twice, then calls his security chief. We need to brief Patton immediately. And we need to convince him to actually take this seriously, which is going to be the hard part. Eisenhower knows Patton's personality. Telling him Hitler wants him dead won't make Patton more cautious. It'll make him more reckless. September 16, 1944. Patton is summoned to Eisenhower's headquarters for an urgent security briefing. He arrives irritated. His Third Army is in the middle of a major offensive and he doesn't want to waste time on meetings. Eisenhower's intelligence officer lays out the situation. Intercepts show Hitler has personally ordered Patton's assassination. Multiple units have been tasked with killing him. The threat is credible and ongoing. Patton listens in silence, his expression unreadable. When the briefing ends, Eisenhower says carefully, "George, this is serious. Hitler wants you dead specifically. We need to enhance your security, limit your movements, keep you away from the front lines for a while." Patton's response is immediate and emphatic. He stands up, slams his hand on the table, and says loudly, "Outstanding. The son of a bitch noticed me." The room goes silent. Everyone expected concern, maybe anger. Not enthusiasm. Patton continues, grinning, "Do you know what this means? It means I'm hurting him worse than anyone else. It means I'm the one he fears. It means I'm doing my job better than any other Allied commander. This is the best news I've had all month." Eisenhower tries again, "George, they're trying to kill you, let them try," Patton interrupts. I've been shot at by better men than Hitler's lackeys. I'm not hiding because some failed artist in a bunker has a tantrum about me beating his armies. Eisenhower realizes this isn't going well. He tries a different approach. George, be reasonable. If Hitler is specifically targeting you, the threat level is unprecedented. We need to adjust our security posture. Patton cuts him off again. Ike, let me tell you something about fear. The enemy should fear me. Not the other way around. If Hitler wants me dead, that tells me I'm doing something right. That tells me Third Army is tearing through his forces so effectively that he's desperate enough to order my assassination. He starts pacing, warming to his theme. You want me to hide? To stay away from the front? To let Hitler's threats change how I command? That's exactly what he wants. He can't beat Third Army on the battlefield, so he's trying psychological warfare. Make me cautious. Make me afraid. Slow me down. Patton stops pacing and faces Eisenhower directly. I won't give him that satisfaction. If anything, this makes me want to push harder. Show him that his threats mean nothing. Show our soldiers that their commander isn't afraid of Hitler or his assassins. The intelligence officer tries to interject. Sir, we have protocols for high-value targets under credible threat. I'm not a high-value target, Patton snaps. I'm a general officer leading an army in combat. My job is to be where the fighting is, not hiding in a bunker worrying about assassination plots. The meeting goes back and forth for an hour. Eisenhower knows he can't order Patton to hide. It would damage Third Army morale and probably make Patton even more reckless out of spite. But he also can't ignore credible intelligence about assassination threats. Finally, they reach a compromise. Patton will accept enhanced security measures, more guards, armored vehicles, varied routes and schedules. But he refuses to change his command style or limit his frontline visits. I'll let you put more guards around me, Patton says. But I'm not hiding. I'm not changing how I lead. And I'm definitely not slowing down operations because Hitler is having a mental breakdown about how badly I'm beating his armies. Eisenhower reluctantly agrees. He knows this is the best he'll get from Patton. As the meeting ends, Patton has one more thing to say. Ike, make sure this information gets out. I want German soldiers to know that Hitler is so afraid of me that he's personally ordered my assassination. I want them to know their Führer is terrified of Third Army. That'll do more damage to German morale than any number of tanks. Eisenhower is stunned by the audacity. You want us to publicize this? To brag about Hitler targeting you? Damn right I do, Patton grins. It's the best propaganda we could ask for. Hitler's so afraid of Patton he orders personal assassination. Run with that and watch German morale collapse even faster. Back in Germany, Hitler's obsession with Patton intensifies. Intercepts over the following weeks reveal increasingly detailed orders. To the Luftwaffe, any bomber group that eliminates Patton will receive immediate honors and promotion. His death is worth more than any military objective. To SS commando units, Patton travels in a jeep with minimal security. He visits frontline units regularly. These are opportunities. Exploit them. To German intelligence, I want daily reports on Patton's location. Every speech he gives, every unit he visits, every route he travels. Find the pattern. Find the weakness. Hitler even offers a personal reward. Any soldier who kills Patton will receive the Knight's Cross directly from Hitler's hand, along with a substantial monetary reward and guaranteed safety for his family. The intercepts also reveal Hitler's reasoning. In a conversation with his staff recorded by stenographers, and later captured by allies, Hitler explains his fixation. Patton is the only Allied general who understands modern warfare. He thinks like a German, aggressive, mobile, decisive. The others are bureaucrats playing at war. Patton is a warrior. If we eliminate him, the Americans will replace him with some cautious fool like Montgomery, and we can stabilize the front. Hitler is wrong about stabilizing the front. Germany is beaten regardless, but write that Patton is unique among Allied commanders. October 1944. The first serious attempt on Patton's life comes during a visit to a forward command post near Metz. German intelligence has identified Patton's route and timing. An SS commando team, specially trained for the mission, sets up an ambush along the road. They're equipped with Panzerfausts, machine guns, and specific orders: kill Patton, then escape if possible. If escape is impossible, fight to the death. The 8-man team waits in position. They've studied photographs of Patton, distinctive helmet, pearl-handled revolvers, 3-star insignia. They cannot miss him. Patton's convoy approaches. 3 jeeps, 1 staff car. The commandos prepare to fire. But Patton's enhanced security has changed his routine. Instead of riding in the lead jeep as usual, he's in the second vehicle. The lead jeep has a decoy, an officer wearing a helmet similar to Patton's. The commandos open fire on the lead jeep. The decoy is wounded but survives. American guards immediately return fire with overwhelming force. 6 of the 8 German commandos are killed within seconds. The other 2 are captured. When Patton reaches his destination and learns about the ambush, his response shocks his staff. He's furious, not about the assassination attempt, but about the decoy being wounded. "God damn it, a good officer got hurt because Hitler is obsessed with me," Patton rages. "I should have been in that jeep. It's my fight, not his." His security chief tries to explain that the decoy strategy worked. Patton is alive. "I don't want to be alive because someone else took my bullet," Patton snaps back. "From now on, no decoys. I'm in the lead jeep where I belong." The 2 captured German commandos are brought to 3rd Army Intelligence for interrogation. Both are young SS soldiers, fanatically loyal to Hitler. But under questioning, they reveal the extent of Hitler's personal involvement in the assassination plot. One commando describes the briefing he received: "The Führer himself authorized this mission. He told us that killing Patton was worth more than capturing a city. He promised us the Knight's Cross and personal recognition. He said Patton was the greatest threat to the Reich." The interrogators ask why Hitler is so focused on one general. The commando, now realizing the mission failed and he's facing execution for attempted assassination, speaks freely: "Because Patton fights like we do. Fast, aggressive, no mercy. The Führer respects him as a warrior even while hating him as an enemy. He said if Germany had Patton, the war would already be won." The intelligence report from this interrogation reaches Patton's desk. He reads it with a mixture of pride and contempt. To his staff, he says, "Hitler thinks if he'd had me, Germany would win. He's wrong. If I were German, I'd have shot Hitler years ago and prevented this whole mess. But I'll take the compliment about my fighting style." Then, more seriously, "This confirms what we thought. He's obsessed. Which means he's making emotional decisions instead of strategic ones. We can use that." Patton begins planning how to exploit Hitler's obsession psychologically. Patton decides to turn Hitler's obsession into a weapon. He orders his intelligence staff to ensure German forces know exactly where he is, but only after he's already left. "I want them chasing ghosts," Patton explains. "I want Hitler getting reports that I was here, I was there, I'm everywhere, and they keep missing me. It'll drive him crazy." 3rd Army begins a deliberate campaign of disinformation and taunting. Radio broadcasts mention Patton visiting units, information the Germans intercept. But by the time German forces respond, Patton is long gone. Leaflets dropped over German lines feature Patton's image with messages: "General Patton was here. Your Führer wants him dead, but he's still coming for you. Where will he strike next?" German prisoners report that the psychological effect is significant. Rumors spread among German troops: Patton is invincible. He knows about every assassination attempt before it happens. He's protected by luck or divine intervention. Some German soldiers begin to see him as a supernatural figure. Patton loves this. Let them think I'm unkillable, he tells his staff. Fear is a weapon. If German soldiers think their Führer can't even assassinate me, how can he protect them? Meanwhile, Hitler receives increasingly frantic reports from his intelligence services. Patton continues operating with apparent disregard for security. Multiple assassination opportunities identified, but complications prevent execution. Hitler's frustration grows with each failed attempt. November 1944. A German sniper, one of the Wehrmacht's best, is given a specific mission: assassinate Patton. The sniper, Oberfeldwebel Heinrich Müller, has over 200 confirmed kills on the Eastern Front. He's told this mission comes directly from Hitler. Müller studies intelligence reports on Patton's habits. Despite enhanced security, Patton still insists on visiting frontline units personally. He stands in exposed positions, addressing troops, often making himself a perfect target. Müller identifies an opportunity. Patton is scheduled to visit a forward artillery position. The location provides several good sniper hides with clear lines of sight. Müller positions himself 400 meters away with a perfect view of where Patton will stand. He waits for hours, rifle ready. Patton arrives exactly on schedule. He steps out of his jeep, wearing his distinctive helmet and revolvers. He's addressing the artillery crews, completely exposed. Müller has a perfect shot. He's made harder shots hundreds of times. He begins to squeeze the trigger. Then something strange happens. Patton, in the middle of his speech, suddenly looks directly toward Müller's position. Not randomly, directly at him. As if he knows exactly where the sniper is hiding. For a frozen moment, their eyes meet across 400 meters. Patton doesn't take cover. Doesn't call for help. He just stares. Then he smiles. And gives a small salute in Müller's direction. Müller, unnerved, hesitates. In that moment of hesitation, American counter-snipers spot his position and open fire. Müller escapes, but the shot is lost. The question that haunts historians: did Patton actually see the sniper, or was it coincidence? His security officer asked him directly after the incident. Patton's response was typically cryptic: "I felt someone watching." Combat instinct. You develop a sense for when you're in someone's crosshairs. His aide pressed, "Sir, you looked right at him." And saluted. Why? Patton grinned. Because I wanted him to know I wasn't afraid. I wanted him to go back to Hitler and report that he had a perfect shot, and I looked him in the eye and dared him to take it. That's worth more than killing one sniper. Whether Patton actually spotted Müller or made a lucky guess, the effect was the same. Müller was captured 2 weeks later and interrogated. He described the incident: "I had him. Perfect shot. But when he looked at me and smiled, I hesitated. Just for a second. But that second was enough." Asked why he hesitated, Müller said something that American intelligence found fascinating: he wasn't afraid. Men who know they might die show fear, even soldiers. But Patton looked at me like I was a minor annoyance. Like he knew I would miss. It shook my confidence. This was exactly what Patton wanted. Not just to survive assassination attempts, but to make those attempts strengthen his legend. To make German soldiers believe he couldn't be killed. To use Hitler's obsession as psychological warfare. Back in his bunker, Hitler receives reports of failed assassination attempts with increasing fury. By late 1944, at least 6 serious attempts have failed. Sniper shots missed. Ambushes hit decoys. Bomber strikes arrived after Patton had left. One captured German officer later testified about a scene in Hitler's headquarters: "The Führer went into a screaming rage about Patton. He was shaking with anger. He demanded to know how the entire German military couldn't kill one American general. He accused his own commanders of incompetence and possibly treason." Hitler's chief of staff, Wilhelm Keitel, tried to explain: "My Führer, Patton has enhanced security and varies his routines. He's also extremely lucky, luck. Hitler screamed. You're telling me the fate of the Reich depends on one American's luck? Find a way. I don't care how. I want Patton dead. The obsession had become irrational. Germany was losing the war on every front. Resources desperately needed for defense were being diverted to assassination attempts. But Hitler couldn't let it go. His intelligence chief, Walter Schellenberg, later wrote, by December 1944, killing Patton had become a personal fixation for Hitler. It wasn't about military strategy anymore. It was about pride. Patton had humiliated him, and he couldn't stand it. Hitler ordered increasingly desperate measures. Commando raids. Poisoning attempts. Even exploration of using V-2 rockets to target Patton's known locations, absurdly wasteful, but Hitler didn't care. As American intelligence intercepts reveal Hitler's intensifying obsession, they brief Patton monthly on new threats. December 1944 briefing reveals Hitler has authorized unlimited resources to eliminate Patton. His security chief begs him to take additional precautions. Patton's response is now legendary. He stands up at the briefing and says loudly, "Let me get this straight. Germany is being crushed from the east by Soviets and from the west by us. They're running out of fuel, ammunition, and men. And Hitler is wasting unlimited resources trying to kill me personally." "Yes, sir," the intelligence officer confirms nervously. Patton starts laughing. Not a chuckle, deep, genuine laughter. "This is perfect. Don't you see? Every resource he wastes on me is a resource not used against our troops. Every commando team sent to assassinate me is a team not defending against our advance. He's so obsessed with me personally that he's actively hurting his own war effort." He continues, "This isn't a threat. This is an opportunity. We should encourage it. Make him think he's getting close. Keep him focused on me instead of actual military strategy. Let him waste his dwindling resources on a personal vendetta while we crush his armies." His staff is stunned. They expected concern about the elevated threat. Instead, Patton sees tactical opportunity in Hitler's irrational obsession. "Send a message," Patton orders. "Not officially, but make sure it gets to German intelligence and eventually to Hitler. Tell him, Patton knows about the assassination orders. He's not hiding. Come find him." December 16, 1944. Germany launches its last major offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. Suddenly, Hitler's assassination obsession is forced to take a backseat to actual military operations. But even during this critical battle, intercepts show Hitler hasn't forgotten Patton. When Third Army pivots 90 degrees north and attacks into the German flank to relieve Bastogne, a feat military experts said was impossible, Hitler's response is telling. He doesn't focus on the tactical disaster this represents. He fixates on Patton personally. In a recorded conversation with his staff, Hitler says, "Patton. Always Patton. He does what should be impossible. Turns an entire army in winter and attacks within 3 days. No other Allied commander could do this. Not Montgomery, not Bradley. Only him." Hitler's chief of staff asks if they should divert forces to stop Third Army's attack. Hitler's response shocks everyone, "No. I want him coming. Let him overextend. Then we'll cut him off. Destroy Third Army and kill Patton at the same time. 2 victories in 1. It's a strategic blunder. Instead of defending logically, Hitler is making decisions based on his personal hatred of Patton. German commanders recognize this but can't contradict the Führer. The result, Third Army breaks through, relieves Bastogne, and the German offensive collapses. Hitler's obsession with Patton has directly contributed to German defeat in their last major attack. January 1945. Allied intelligence intercepts Hitler's conversations about wanting to destroy Patton and Third Army together during the Bulge. When Patton is briefed on this, his reaction is pure Patton. He wanted to destroy Third Army to get to me personally. He sacrificed military strategy for a personal vendetta. Patton grins widely. Outstanding. That confirms what I've been saying, his hatred of me is clouding his judgment. We need to exploit this even more. His intelligence officer asks how. Patton explains, Hitler expects me to be aggressive. So I'll be aggressive beyond anything he anticipates. I'll make moves so bold, so risky, that he'll think they must be traps. He'll hesitate, second guess, waste time trying to figure out my real plan. When actually, the aggressive move is the plan. This becomes Patton's strategy for the final months of the war, be so audacious that Hitler's paranoid obsession makes him see complexity where there's only bold simplicity. Third Army's final drives into Germany are characterized by stunning speed and risk-taking. Multiple times, German forces could have cut off Patton's advance if they'd reacted quickly. But Hitler, convinced Patton must have some clever trap prepared, hesitates or orders caution. By the time he realizes Patton is simply attacking straight ahead with maximum speed, it's too late. I've weaponized his obsession, Patton tells his staff. He's so focused on killing me that he's forgotten how to fight my army. March 1945. With Germany collapsing, Hitler orders one last desperate attempt to kill Patton. He authorizes a werewolf commando mission, fanatical Hitler Youth and SS volunteers on a suicide mission. The 20-person team is given intelligence on Patton's headquarters location and told to infiltrate, kill Patton, and fight to the death. It's a suicide mission and everyone knows it. But they're fanatics who believe killing Patton might somehow change the war's outcome. The team infiltrates American lines wearing captured U.S. uniforms. They get within a mile of Third Army headquarters before being detected. A firefight erupts. All 20 German commandos are killed. None get close to Patton. When Patton is informed about the attempt, he visits the site where the bodies lie. He looks at the young faces, most are teenagers. His aide later reports that Patton stood there silently for several minutes. Then he said quietly, "These are children. Hitler sent children on a suicide mission to kill me because he's lost his mind." This is what happens when obsession replaces strategy. This is why he's losing. It's one of the few times Patton shows something other than bravado about the assassination attempts. Not fear, sadness. Sadness that Hitler's irrational hatred has led to waste of young lives on a pointless mission. That evening, Patton writes in his diary, 20 boys died today trying to kill me on Hitler's orders. They never had a chance. Hitler's obsession has become murderous in more ways than one. April 1945. Berlin is surrounded. Soviet armies are blocks from Hitler's bunker. The war is days from ending. In his final days, witnesses report Hitler still talks about Patton. Secretary Traudl Junge, who survived the bunker, later testified, even at the end, Hitler would rant about Patton. He blamed Patton personally for Germany's defeat, not the Allies, not circumstances. Patton specifically. It was delusional. In one of his final recorded conversations, Hitler tells his remaining staff, "If I'd had Patton as a general instead of the incompetents who surrounded me, we would have won." He understands warfare. The others are playing chess. He's playing war. It's a strange compliment from a dying dictator to the enemy general who helped destroy him. On April 30, 1945, Hitler commits suicide in his bunker. Among the last names he speaks before his death, witnesses report, is Patton. The man who'd ordered dozens of assassination attempts, who'd wasted countless resources on a personal vendetta, who'd let obsession cloud strategic judgment, dies still fixated on the American general he could never kill. When Patton learns of Hitler's death, his response is characteristically blunt, "The son of a bitch gave up. Couldn't face defeat, couldn't face me, so he took the coward's way out. At least I would have had the guts to face my enemies if I'd lost." After the war, military historians analyzed Hitler's obsession with Patton and its strategic impact. The consensus, Hitler's personal vendetta against Patton significantly contributed to German defeat. Conservative estimates suggest at least 500 elite soldiers were diverted to assassination attempts rather than combat operations. Multiple commando units that could have been used for military missions were instead wasted on failed attempts to kill one general. Intelligence resources desperately needed for strategic purposes were instead focused on tracking Patton's movements. Most significantly, Hitler made multiple tactical and strategic decisions based on his hatred of Patton rather than military logic. The Battle of the Bulge being a prime example, trying to destroy Patton personally rather than achieving strategic objectives. Military psychologists studying the case concluded Hitler's obsession represented a classic case of letting personal emotion override professional judgment. Hitler saw Patton as everything he claimed to admire in a warrior: aggressive, fearless, victorious. But Patton was also everything Hitler hated: American, fighting for democracy, and beating Hitler's armies. This cognitive dissonance created an obsession Hitler couldn't control. Patton, meanwhile, had recognized and exploited this psychological weakness brilliantly. By refusing to show fear, by publicizing Hitler's threats, by turning the assassination attempts into propaganda, Patton had weaponized Hitler's obsession against him. In the months after the war, before his death in December 1945, Patton reflected on Hitler's obsession in conversations and writings. To his wife Beatrice, he wrote, "Hitler wanted me dead more than any military objective. In a strange way, I'm honored. It means I hurt him worse than anyone else. But it also shows how far he'd fallen from rational military thinking. A real commander focuses on winning, not personal vendettas." In his diary, Patton was more blunt: "Hitler's obsession with killing me was the best thing that could have happened to the Allied cause. Every resource he wasted on me was a resource not defending Germany. I should thank him for the compliment of his hatred." To his friend and fellow General Lucian Truscott, Patton said something revealing: "You know what the difference was between Hitler and me? We were both warriors who believed in aggressive action. But I served something larger than myself, my country, my soldiers, the cause of freedom. Hitler served only his own ego. That's why when he faced defeat, he couldn't handle it. And that's why his obsession with me became irrational. I represented everything he couldn't accept about his own failure." Patton also reflected on the psychological aspect: "Fear is a weapon, but only if your enemy shows it. The moment I showed I wasn't afraid of Hitler's threats, better yet, that I enjoyed them, I took away his psychological advantage and turned it against him." The story of Hitler's obsession with Patton and Patton's response offers enduring lessons about leadership, psychology, and warfare. First lesson: personal obsessions have no place in strategic decision-making. Hitler's fixation on Patton led him to waste resources and make poor tactical choices. Effective commanders separate personal feelings from professional judgment. Second lesson: fear is a weapon only if the target shows it. Patton's refusal to be intimidated, his actual enthusiasm about Hitler's threats, neutralized the psychological warfare and reversed it. Third lesson: enemy obsessions can be exploited. Patton recognized Hitler's fixation and deliberately encouraged it, knowing it would lead Hitler to make irrational decisions. Fourth lesson: confidence, even when it borders on arrogance, can be tactically valuable. Patton's absolute certainty that he couldn't be killed became self-fulfilling because it affected enemy morale and decision-making. Fifth lesson: the best response to intimidation is defiance. Had Patton hidden or shown fear, it would have validated Hitler's strategy. By refusing to change his behavior, he invalidated it. What Patton said when they told him Hitler was personally targeting him: outstanding. "The son of a bitch noticed me." Perfectly captured his philosophy. He turned a threat into a compliment. He turned Hitler's hatred into a tactical advantage. He turned assassination attempts into propaganda victories. And in doing so, he helped win not just battles but the psychological war against Nazi Germany. The general Hitler most wanted dead became the general who contributed most to Hitler's defeat. That irony would have delighted Patton. It probably still does.